Oh,
laid
yeah,
out.
he cleaned things up on here.
Okay.
Okay, and the thingy's on, so we're good.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome visitors. Again, I'd like to remind everyone these are our board meetings and our business meetings are held in public. They're not public board meetings. This is a special meeting. However, it is still the board's business meeting. We are governed by Idaho Code Title 33, Chapter 5, Idaho Administrative Procedures Act, IDAPA, and we follow our district policies. The audience shall refrain from applause, snickers, whispers, quiet comments, etc., as it interferes with due process. And if you're asked by a trustee to stop, you must stop, or you'll be asked to leave the meeting. And if repeated requests by a trustee are disregarded, the meeting will be recessed or adjourned, depending on the severity of the issue at hand. We also have a maximum capacity of 36 within this room, and we will need to adhere to that. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second. Having a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to a discussion item, contract category status of certified staff.
Yes, so, at the last, board meeting, we brought to you some category 2 contract teachers, for non-renewal. And, that's a practice that has been in place for the last 6 years. But in doing, some investigating after somebody, brought, an issue to our attention, we found that in actuality, anybody who, by law, anybody who had a renewable contract in a previous district, whether that's an Idaho district or another state, they cannot come in as a category 2 hire. They must come in as a category 3 or a renewable contract. And so the 3 that we brought to you all had renewable contracts prior. So there's action following executive session tonight to rescind the non-renewal.
On all of the ones that we did? Okay.
So just wanted to give you an understanding of why we're bringing that, but that has been wrong. No. And then we had some wrong information from previous leadership, and we have rectified that.
So we've been doing this for 6 years though, so we have 6 years of wrong practice and wrong contracts out there.
So,
We have 6 years of people that were let go that should not have been let go.
Potentially, not necessarily in every case, but potentially there are some, yeah.
I think each year that you guys have been here, there've been at least a couple that have come to you, right?
Yeah, well, I know during
Yeah.
COVID, there was a whole bunch, we had a long conversation about making sure that, jobs were given back and all that. Okay, that's.
So
Have
we
we
are
identified all those people, or we
Yeah.
have, okay.
Yep. And, yeah, so anybody who's on a category 2 contract this year, when Brooke reissues the new contracts, if they were incorrectly placed, category 2, then they will be automatically moved to category 3. Year 2, because you can have them on a category 3 for 3 years prior to moving them to renewable contract, so.
So that way they're not still behind
Exactly.
on years
Yeah,
as a
so-
category 3, okay.
Exactly, we will, catch people up to the best of our ability, but, yeah, that was, a little bit of a learning opportunity for us.
So any persons, so we've looked at all the people that now that we're aware of it, that maybe even were hired on this year and made sure that their contracts were
Oh, we're at the end of the year now, so we will correct it when we
Right,
issue
right, right,
the
but I mean, we've already,
Yes.
okay.
Yep. Brooke has definitely done her due diligence and has gone through all of those. I just wanted, in open session, to give an understanding of why I'm bringing those back to executive session.
Any further discussion on the matter?
So just to clarify the understanding, if you have a teacher coming in from either in-state or out-of-state that has not been on a continuing contract, you can place them
As a category
as
two.
a category 2 legitimately.
Yes. And the way that the law is written, it even says that if they weren't on a renewable contract in a different state but would have been on a renewable contract had they been in Idaho, so some states maybe you have to be on contract more than 4 years to get the renewable contract, but in Idaho it's 4 years. So if they were on a continuous contract for 4 years or more in a different district in a different state, they qualify regardless of whether they were on a renewable contract in that state.
So now when you say 4 years, you mean 3 years plus the next year? Because I thought it was 3 consecutive years and then your 4th year, but in
Right.
theory, it's 3 years.
It is 3 years, you're right,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
It would be the fourth.
But they would, in
But
order,
their renewable contract actually doesn't happen until their 4th year.
Right, right,
So they
exactly.
would, so if they were only there 3 years, they never would have held a renewable contract.
Yeah.
So it is actually 4 years.
Right,
That they
but
would
it's
have.
the 3 consecutive,
No,
so-
it's 4.
it's, they would, if they come in from out of state, they have to be within the same school district out of state for 4 years, because that would mean kind of like the similar criteria of
Right.
what Idaho has. So then they would come in, and in the law it states that we can place them as a Cat 3 for 3 years, or we can choose just to move them to a renewable. Basically, a Cat 3 and a renewable have similar property rights.
Mhm.
The Cat 3 is just slightly less.
Yeah, well, what I was getting at, if I'm in Lakeland for 3 years and I'm offered another contract, I fall under that, that's what I'm getting at.
But
If
you,
I'm-
but you have to,
Right.
but you
Right.
actually have to have done your 4 years. So you wouldn't be on a renewable contract until your 4th year. So if I was in Washington for 3 years, and if those 3 years were transferred to Idaho, I would never have
But
been
I'm
on a
talking
renewable.
about Idaho, if I'm in Lakeland for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
In your 4th year.
and I get a job on my 4th year,
You're on renewable.
yeah.
In Lakeland,
Right,
yeah.
but if
they
you're
were-
out of Lakeland, so let's say Coeur d'Alene, they actually have to hold a renewable contract, that's the way the language in the statute
Mhm.
says, in order for them to qualify to be placed as a category 3 or renewable, which means you have to have had at least 4 years in a different
Yeah.
district, cause you don't hold that
Right.
renewable contract
So
until you're.
Coeur d'Alene, if they're a Cat 3 and they come to us, then they would be a Cat 2, year 1.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So we can downgrade them?
yeah.
If they haven't reached the renewable
It's
contract
the
status.
renewable status that, yeah, gives them more. And where they have it in the statute is really wonky. And, consulting legal counsel too, this hasn't been brought up to legal counsel in previous years. For some reason this year, legal counsel has already heard from 3 districts on this, so it's.
Yeah, I had a similar discussion with the prior administration over this very topic, that's why.
Okay.
I'm
It never made,
clarifying
never made
again.
sense to me
Yeah.
that you could spend that much time in a different district and then come and basically be
Starting
over.
Right.
But then on the same token, you know, to Lisa's discontent in the language of the law. So let's say somebody's been at home for 10 years on maternity leave or whatever, and they held renewable status prior to that. They can come back after 10 years not being in the business and be a Cat 3 or a renewable contract.
Automatically have,
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
property rights.
okay, well, I'm glad we've identified all that now.
I did argue.
You have a lot of
with-
mementos for your first year.
I know, but I just want you to know, I did argue with the previous
Mhm.
superintendent over this because this isn't how we
Right.
did it prior to her coming. And, I basically was finally just told, I'm the superintendent. This is what
This
I've
is
been
how it
told by
goes.
the attorney, and this is how we're doing it, and so,
I'd like to know what attorney told her to do that, because that,
I don't know,
yeah.
so.
It's water under the bridge.
It is,
Water under
but,
the bridge.
you know, we have a lovely lady sitting in the audience who came with 20 years of experience, and she started with us on a category 2 contract, so.
Wow, yeah.
I would be curious to know, I mean, like, within the last 3 years, how many of those teachers, because if it's 4, 5, or 6, they've obviously rolled on to where they needed to be.
Yeah, we will go back and look to make sure that, although if they were 3 years already, they would be a Cat 3 and
Mhm.
they'd be going into a renewable contract, but
Mhm.
we'll go back to last year for sure and make sure we have people accurately placed, so that we're not putting them on category 2, year 2 next year.
Okay.
So.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
I'm fine.
Okay. Moving on to action items, we have the base program, the proposed rate increase for the 23-24 school year. This is an actionable item. It was not actionable at our monthly board meeting.
I think it actually was, but we tabled it
We tabled
because you
it.
didn't have all of the information. All we had was
Okey-doke.
the
Sorry.
max, there, okay, that, all we provided to you was the maximum somebody would pay.
That's right,
And
that's
you
right.
wanted to
And we
see
wanted
the
a breakdown.
scale, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my head's just really killing me.
How come the afternoon's so much higher than the morning?
More hours.
More hours?
By half an hour.
True.
It also, I think afternoons are used more and would require additional para support, so it helps pay for that.
Is anything else hot in here?
Mhm.
It's only
7:75.
And I'm always freezing, so it must be really hot in here.
Thought it was just me.
Thank you.
No, it's fine.
No, it's cause he came running from.
How did we come to these fees? Do we know?
No, Chelsea took what we had in place before we recommended the new, and looked at the incremental changes, and then just applied those incremental changes to with the new top.
Okay.
So we basically just copied the same percentage increases as we've had in the past.
Okay. I find it interesting that the increase from morning to afternoon increases additionally with the number of days a week you utilize the service. I would think that would be reversed, but I could be mistaken.
I think you indicated at the last meeting there are some discounts in certain situations.
More than one kiddo,
More
Yeah.
than one.
like if you have
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
looked at last.
Other than that, no, they're all
Other than that, no. Okay.
So staff members don't get a reduced rate? Okay. They used to, that's why I'm just curious.
I think we did that during COVID, to help out. But we we discontinued that.
Okay.
The other thing that is different is, we're not taking ICCP because we only had one family that was, utilizing that, and there are a lot of additional, legal requirements and, guidelines from the federal government that aren't in play when you're not working with ICCP.
Mhm.
So, because we only had one family using it, they discontinued it. If there's a need, it'll come back, but at this point there wasn't.
So we'd like to have discussion on what's being proposed.
I'm good.
And then just a reminder, the only reason we're recommending the increased cost is, to ensure that the program runs in the black. Because they had to dip into their fund balance to, get through this year. We won't have the fund balance if we have to do another year of that.
I'm with Michelle. I don't understand the the amount differences from like 2 days to 3 days, 3 days to 4 days, and 4 days to 5 days. The differences don't make sense.
As far as like the steps
Mhm.
between, so you would like to see, I don't know if it's a percentage or, I'm not sure how the first one was put together, Chelsea just literally kind of
Mhm.
copied it, but we can go back and start with whatever that 2-day cost is and then have an incremental increase of a certain percent, if that's what you're looking for. So that the numbers make sense, I guess is what I hear you say.
Speak of the devil.
Oh, she's here. They have a question about how we got how the incremental steps from like 2 days per week at 95 for one child to the 160 for 5 days.
So I just kind of went off the percentage wise what they did the previous year. I calculated it out and just because we decided what we wanted to go up on, and I just calculated everything based off of percentage wise what that would look like on the steps that we already have.
That's what I thought you did. That's what I said.
Yeah, it's just weird because it goes like just for the morning from 2 days to 3 days, it's a $20 difference. But from 3 days to 4 days, it's a $30 difference. And then from 4 days to 5 days, it's a $15 like it's inconsistent. It doesn't make logical sense why those differences are.
And I just went off of kind of what they did last year, and last year's looks
Mhm.
pretty similar to that, where we got a weird kind of incremental jump, but I didn't know if there was reasoning behind that. I just went with percentage-based change.
So we can go back to the drawing board and have that make more sense. I mean, if it's basically $20 per day, it makes sense that, you know, or that it would be a $20 increment, I guess.
Mhm.
But-
Either an even dollar amount or a consistent percentage amount.
Right.
Right. Right.
And I also didn't wanna make it like, $162. I tried to, round one way or the other, so that could have been an issue as well. And
Okay.
And if we would rather we do it that way, so it's the same percentage, or if we wanna do incremental, that's fine too. I just was trying to make it as similar to the previous years as possible.
Do we know how much it costs us per day, per child?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure we could figure it out. cause we know what our costs are, and then, what our number of kiddos is, and we
Mhm.
certainly can figure that out.
We're running almost flat right now, like almost exactly flat.
Mhm.
The next year, I know we had talked about that we're gonna have to start purchasing things because they've been using items from other bases that were no longer running. So we wanted to up the prices to reflect that, and also the fact that we're also gonna have to have pay increases and those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So given that we do need to have more clarification on these rates, I would move that we table, the base program proposed rate schedule for the 23-24 school year.
I would second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving to the final site, cost of upgraded version.
I can't read that, it's very far away. Oops, too much. So, if we scroll through here, the, cost, these costs are, this is what it would cost us to just keep what we have. This cost right here, this $8,600 is the one-time cost for us to increase our, capabilities within the
So that's the upgrade cost.
that's the upgrade cost, and it's not an annual cost, it's a one-time cost. And the discount is, based on, our pricing when we first bought into Final Site. They're honoring that level of pricing, so that's why the discount is there. So it'll be $8,600, for a one-time cost to give us more capability to customize the website.
Okay, so we'll pay the 8,600 plus the 14,000 for
Right, that's the annual
the
license.
annual, like,
licensure.
okay.
And have we identified what those upgrades amount to? What are we getting for that extra $8,600?
The way it's set up right now, you're asking really technical questions, and I am not a
I'm sorry,
technology person, that's okay.
I realized that when I started the question.
But, right now, I think on the backside, and Ramona can probably speak to this, cause I know she's played around in there, but, things are kind of fixed with regard to where you can put them. And with the, upgraded customization, we can have like a really nice picture of an aerial picture of our district as the launch page, and you can move the tabs around so it makes more sense. There's just a little bit more, ability to make it fit what we want and help it to be a little more user friendly.
More flexibility in
Mhm.
creating the page.
Yep. Instead of having the little boxes that things have to be in certain places.
Okay, I guess a little bit of confusion is this is the same thing that was brought to us the last time.
Right, I just didn't realize that this was the part you were looking for. So it's the same exact document.
Right, but what we were told was that all of this information is relevant to not upgrading.
This part right here is relevant to not upgrading. This is the part I didn't know was this total creative services
Right,
cost.
but the products and service pricing summary was for what we currently have, is what I thought I understood at the last meeting. So if there's upgrades for $8,600, they're not included in what we're being provided.
Right, because if we just stay without doing any upgrades, this is the cost. If we want to do the upgrade, it's a one-time fee of this $8,600 on top of this $14,317.
Okay, but what they're showing us doesn't include anything with respect to what the upgrades would be,
Correct.
so we don't have that information. Okay.
Well, there is no other, I guess I don't understand.
Yeah, there's no additional cost other than the $8,600.
One-time fee.
The annual service fee is just the annual service.
Are you
Yes,
looking
I
for the
do
products and
understand.
services? Is that
Thank
what
you.
you want, a
Yes.
side by side of what we have,
Yeah, what we have.
the
and what-
services we have now?
Right, and what we're gonna be getting by upgrading.
Oh,
Okay.
well, that was kind of my question. is that
Yeah.
What changes?
And what I'm saying is the document we have doesn't provide that information. And Lisa said that's correct, so.
Yeah. So maybe I misunderstood at the last board meeting, because I think, what I thought I heard was, what is the cost of the upgrade, and is this included in this, and I didn't have that information. So,
So there is a link in that document, you can't click on it, but you can type that in.
Is that the HTTP?
Yeah,
finalsite.com/SOWT.
right, yeah. And there is another, I'm just getting there. It's more about what they include and what they will provide.
Have our tech people gone over with representatives what potential changes there will be?
Yep, Chad and Justin and, Michelle Stanford and Jackie, all participated.
Okay, so, and they're confident that what we're gonna get charged is worth it?
Yes. Yes, to do kind of what the board has been wanting to do with the website, and make it, a little bit more intuitive and easier for people to sign things. The benefit is, when they compared costs of other, hosts, and the tools that they get, they're very similar. So they felt like by adding this tier, this additional tier, we get what we want, but we don't have to learn a whole new program, so we can spend the summer upgrading it and making it look the way we
Yeah,
want
so
it
if you
to.
go here and it says package one thing, and then inside of that statement of work, it gives you creative services comparison, which tells you what the level, what the level one thing is, and then it gives you, the milestones and expectations, and then of course the district, everything the district, so this is the plan itself.
Okay, gotcha.
So this is what they need from the district to implement, they will actually implement, it looks like, according to this, all of those changes based upon,
Okay,
what the district
okay.
gives them, so. Dedicated project manager, bi-weekly status report, 75-point QA checklist, which means they'll go line item by line item.
Okay.
Online training resources, white paper, support team, layout optimization, oh, it's a 0 for that,
Right, which
15
is
page.
interesting.
Yeah. So they will update this, content styles and guides, 20 reusable. So that's what it looks like, it's just all of this right here.
Okay.
There is no design and discovery, because I think if you read back here in the strategy document, they're expecting the district to bring them all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much laid out and everything.
Okay.
I don't know about functionality, but I assume if they looked at it, there will be better functionality, but I don't know. Jackie, and whoever's working on it, I'm sure they've looked at it.
this was the price.
Right.
And then nothing was changing, but yet now we're upgrading, so to me that would mean things are changing.
Right.
And nothing's being provided to show this is what we're changing to. So that was my only,
Yeah.
just, you know, cause if it's just a matter of going from 10 gigabytes to 20 gigabytes, is that worth $8,600? So that was my only, concern of wanting to know, okay, what did we have and what are we going to?
Yep.
And
I'm
saying
sorry, I
that-
totally
That's okay.
misunderstood what you were
That's okay.
asking for.
Okay, so do we need to have any further discussion regarding the final site upgrade?
I move approval of the final upgrade, the final site proposal.
With the, with the upgrade that
With the
you
upgrade,
said.
yes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we need to have any further discussion? Okay,
No.
having a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to the SRO MOUs, we have the Kootenai County and the Rathdrum, SRO agreements. Did we ever find out, what the
What their percentage is?
possibility of the increase is?
No, I did not get that information.
Okay. We don't have the pay matrices or matrix, addendum on the Kootenai County one, just so you know. Under consideration, it states that attached as addendum A is the sworn officer pay matrix.
No, we've
No.
never had that, that's weird that that's.
Yeah, it's not on here. Which could potentially help us, you know, see what they have and where they're going.
Right, where did you say that was?
Under 7, consideration, A paragraph. 4th sentence in.
Oh, yeah, they've never given that. That's always been in there, that's not a change, and they've never given that to us, so
Okay.
it's a good catch.
So yeah,
The good news is last year they really wanted us to go to 70%, and it wasn't even a conversation this year. They were happy to keep it at 65.
okay, good. On the Rathdrum, they are wanting, a notice of continuation by April 1, 2024. That's quite early.
That's when we when we meet to talk, about whether there are changes or if we are, if there's any kind of,
So is that just more of a conversation that you have with them?
yes.
Okay.
So I met with everybody prior to spring break this year to
Okay.
meet that April 1st deadline.
Okay. I didn't notice that last year.
I think actually last year, okay, what section are you looking at? So I want to make sure I'm speaking correctly.
Section 5, the planning meetings.
So this right here where it says on or before. Yeah, that is just, we meet to evaluate the program so that if anything needs to change, I can we can put it in the MOU and I can bring
Okay.
it to the board for approval. So that is a change because, before, remember there was language in the Rathdrum MOU that said that we had to give them a whole year's notice. And so I came back and negotiated this year and told them I felt like that put an unfair burden on the school district, and that because I happen to know, because we have a board member who works for a city, that their budget happens after hours, that if we let them know in the springtime, that gives them adequate time to make some adjustments, and so they April 1st, that's why it's highlighted,
Okay.
is because, we would know by then if we're going to have a budget to maintain the program or not, and which gives them opportunity to make changes.
Do we have a policy regarding these MOUs?
Nope. No, we need one.
Okay, we'll need to do one.
Yes, we do.
And legal counsel has recommended that we have just a very kind of general policy about our safety program with our SROs and our armed guards, and then the armed district safety specialist protocols then would align to or tie back to that policy.
But with respect to Randy's statement, we don't have anything governing these.
No, I
MOUs,
don't.
So we do have to have that in
Yeah.
place.
I do believe it's on Lynn's list. Your list is long and
Yes.
distinguished.
Yeah.
Well, it started with 245 before we ever got into what we didn't have. We're still trying to do, it's already time to go back over all of the annual
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
update all those again. Those are such fun.
There is no MOU right now. I did not bring a MOU for Spirit Lake Police Department. Dr. Pasley and I met with the interim chief, was it Monday this week? He is a retired Amman police officer, very much vested in the SRO program, really wants to make sure it continues, which is all fine and good, but I need some assurances from the city that they're going to stand behind the MOU because they, some of the decisions that they made at the city level caused, several police officers to leave the department, and, as a result, they don't have enough to cover the SRO and patrol, and so they pulled our SRO, and I'm just not willing to do that again, so, they either stand behind the MOU or we will move away from it, so, we're working on scheduling that. We wanted to wait until after the levy before we move that forward.
Well, and another condition could potentially be that we put language in the MOU that says if they are not able to produce the officer, we are not obligated to pay the salary.
It actually says that in the MOU already.
Okay.
So have we confronted the city about that, since they have pulled that back, and they have they have an MOU with us?
I have had I had the conversation with the former chief. I have not, we are, working on scheduling our meeting with the city. That will be part of the conversation. Cause we shouldn't be making the last payment.
Right. Cause that's quarterly, right? Quarterly payments, okay. I thought that's what you had said when we talked about it before, so.
I just feel really strongly that, our high school needs to have somebody there. And if we can't count on them, then we just need to move on and, look at
Get another.
hiring another armed district one way or another, in one form or another, something will come to the board for Spirit Lake after we have finished our process up there. What's that funny?
I was just wondering why we call them the Armed District Safety Specialist and why we just don't call them the Armed Safety Specialist.
Because I needed another letter.
Yes, you did. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a really bad headache. My mind wanders.
That is no fun. So in the past, we have approved the language in the MOU, and then once the cities have finalized their budgets and we know what the new amounts are, I bring that amended SRO MOU back to the board for approval of the money.
So we would approve it subject to a report back of the dollar amount for final approval of that dollar amount.
Right. Just because they're on a different budget cycle than we are.
I'm good.
Okay. So if we no longer need any discussion, we can entertain a motion.
I would move to approve the SRO MOUs with the understanding that policy will be written to correlate to the MOUs.
Second.
Having a little bit more discussion on the policy that regarding the MOUs. Are you wanting a policy specific to the SRO MOUs or to MOUs in general?
I think we can have one to MOUs in general, but
Okay.
Can I ask, we do have policy that speaks to MOUs, so is there something in particular that you're wanting in the policy?
I just wanted to make sure that we have protection, and that we have procedure if something were to go wrong.
Yeah, even
I
if there
agree.
was something under policies on the district site, so parents are aware and they can, look at that. I agree with Randy, just something so,
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
agree that we need policy specific to our safety program, that is the overarching of the
Mhm.
whole thing, and
Mhm.
the MOU would fall under that policy. But
Yeah.
we do have policy about, MOUs in general,
Okay.
as far as the board's authorization and all of that, so.
Then
I
yeah,
think
just
general
do this
MOU
one.
is fine, but I think in the instances of like the safety specialists or, anything that's specific that there could be any deviation or, I would agree that it needs to, for, liability reasons, that it should be, covered,
Mm-hmm.
like the other
Yep.
ones. That would be my suggestion anyways.
Yep, I'm good with that. That is. Does your second still hold true?
You bet.
Okay.
I was gonna ask to amend the motion just for clarification with respect to the MOUs, or with respect to the policy. So I'd like to amend the motion, to approve the, Kootenai County SRO and the Rathdrum SRO agreements, in addition to drafting policy to govern MOUs.
clarification, those are two different things, I think.
Correct.
Not necessarily tied to each other.
Correct.
Okay. What I seconded was approval of the SROs.
And MOUs,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
and
the MOU.
policy MOUs.
Yeah.
So,
So for
That's a follow-on thing. In other words, we're going to approve these tonight. They will go into place, and a follow-on activity will be to create the policy we're talking about.
correct.
Okay.
So clarification for the minutes. I have here right now, I have a motion on the table from Trustee Bain, seconded by Trustee Jones. There has been no vote. Does this motion die because there has not been a vote? Or are we gonna go ahead and then do a vote on this and then do a second motion? You already have a motion on the floor, there's no vote.
You can amend
Correct, but I
or
amended
do a second
Mhm.
motion. Either way.
But there has to be a vote and then amend. Could be two motions.
Or can Randy withdraw her motion
Yep.
if she wants to accept Michelle's amended motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't basically the amendment the same as the motion, or is the motion, I mean, isn't it this, what is the difference?
The difference is I wanted some distance in the fact that we can approve the MOUs and they can go into place.
Oh,
And then we
okay.
can get the policy created
okay, okay.
for governance over all MOUs. That was just the clarification
Oh,
and
okay.
why I amended it the way I did.
Okay, and
Right.
Randy
But-
said,
But we also went off of that there was gonna be policy regarding the safety, all safety with the district safety specialists. So that was already added to it. So now we have to do, I'll rescind my motion, you guys figure it out. Done.
well,
The simple approach, I think, is simply to approve the two MOUs that we have before us, and then have a second motion to create policy specific for the safety program, if that's the desire, and for MOUs in general.
yeah, it was just.
We don't have action items for doing
Right.
policies,
Correct.
so that we can't do that. We would have to do that at another time. We would have to add that as an action item another time. What we can do is say that we are going to we approve these MOUs with the understanding that a policy will be created
Yeah, and that's
as a
what
lump,
we were doing.
as one lump.
Okay. So what was Randy's initial,
Okay.
what was Randy's initial motion?
Her initial motion was to approve the SROs with understanding the policy be written to correlate the MOUs. Bob seconded it, there's not a vote.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We now need a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 742061B and F.
A second?
Having a motion and a second, we need a roll call vote.
Trustee Quimby?
Are you gonna go first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Bain?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Grissom?
Yes.
Chair Thompson?
Yes.
You guys all get a little break. This is why you guys are on my team.